Hello everyone, I'm Greg Weaver. Welcome to The Audio Analyst. Today, in the third installment chronicling my visit to Magico's state-of-the-art 30,000 square foot facility, office space, and bespoke listening room, located in the Hayward section of San Francisco, I give you part 2 and the conclusion of my walkthrough tour. Now, before I go any further, Alone pointed out that in part 1, I had mistakenly stated that the price for the Klippel near-field scanning system, so essential to their work, was $100,000. Alone clarified for me that that was only the base starting price. With the additional necessary modules that Magico purchased and installed, the final price is closer to $250,000. My apologies for that oversight. Now, this first clip, which is just over 2.5 minutes long, is one of the CNC area of the facility, where 4 Haas CNC milling machines fabricate nearly every part used to realize a Magico loudspeaker, from the simplest to the most complex. And as you may have guessed, these intricate, programmable, high RPM milling machines are very costly, some having a base price of nearly $400,000. But by owning and operating these intricate and complex tools on site, rather than contracting the massive amount of material fabrication necessary to realize these loudspeakers out to a specialty machine shop, they enjoy the enormous convenience and value that such ownership affords. The longer-term savings they realize in the form of massive amounts of time savings, more dynamic flexibility of manufacturing scheduling, and the ability to innovate and affect change are simply invaluable. Now, because of the inherent noise generated by these machines as they sculpt raw aluminum into shape, you'll have to listen closely as Dave Shackleton, Magico's Vice President of Operations, describes what we are seeing, including milling some very simple parts, a look at CAD setup for a new faceplate, as well as the fabrication of both an M6 backplate and S7 braces. Now, take note of the dumpster full of waste materials, as Dave explains that some parts see an 80% removal of material on a block of raw stock. Let's take a look.
From a very simple part. Not one of our most interesting, but starting with this block and ending up with this little aluminum spacer disc. And he's over here writing the program on a new faceplate. Basically taking the engineer's solid model and telling the machine what path to take and what it needs to do to cut at the right speed and get all of the programs most efficiently programmed. Here you can see it's our M6 backplate. So much compound curvature on a lot of our parts, especially for the M series. A lot of our parts we're doing up to 80% material removal on a block of aluminum.
80%.
When you're talking about, let's say, an M6 faceplate where it's curved on the inside and outside, so we're filling up both these dumpsters with aluminum chips every 4 or 5 days. All gets melted down and recycled, so minus what we take out of here on the bottom of our shoes, we're pretty much as close to a zero-waste shop as you can be. For our S7, The extrusions are 2 pieces on each side and connected to a middle brace. So it starts out as this block right here. And a good example of a lot of material removal. The middle brace for the S7.
Fascinating stuff. This next clip reveals the rest of the facility. Shipping and receiving, inventory control, kit pre-assembly, the aesthetic quality check area, vendor parts finish inspection, raw material storage, Alon's photo studio, the A-series assembly area, and the main speaker assembly area. Now, that's right, I said photo studio. If you were not aware, Alone creates all the images you see of Magico products used in their print material ads, marketing materials, and on the web. Now, one of the many things I hope you'll notice watching these videos is just how immaculately kept the entire facility is as we walk from station to station. Let's take a look.
Sort of shipping and receiving area. About a few pairs of A5s and some M2s waiting to go out today, along with a bunch of bare aluminum parts to go out to our coating vendors for either your choice of one of the 12 S-Series finishes or black for everything else. This is our inventory control area. This is where we store all of our non-cosmetic exterior speaker parts. So all of the things that go into making such an inert enclosure that you never see on the outside of the complete speaker, from networks of bracing to battens to hold panels together. The interior faceplate of our M3, which we mount all the drivers with the exception of the tweeter to. Between that and the curved outer faceplate, we'll apply this layer of an elastomer constrained layer damping material.
Yeah.
What we talked about.
Yeah.
Which will damp the entire enclosure.
Right.
These are designed specifically for each product.
And you said you can, so I assume you manage thickness and density for the vibration you're trying to deal with, correct?
Exactly, yeah. So once we identified what these vibrations are on the laser vibrometer there, we can design these in correlation to be effective to those frequencies.
Excellent.
So the outer faceplate will have these rods going through each one of these. Then they'll get tensioned down from the back of the speaker, compressing this layer.
Now I assume that's a specific amount of tension that's done with some kind of torque control. You guys manage that too?
Yes. Send out a.
And when you buy an M series, you get the torque wrench with it. Specifically for the right tension.
For each of our speakers, we have a dedicated mid-range cavity. Ideally acoustically molded to break up any standing back waves. For many of our speakers, we have a proprietary polymer, these off-white guys.
Okay.
It's much more damped than you want for the full speaker enclosure. But when you step up to the M6 or the M9, then we're in the ballpark of full carbon mid-range enclosures.
Very nice.
Carbon.
Very nice. Sure, you just picked those up at Costco, right?
Oh, yeah.
How long do those take to manufacture, Alon? To make one of those?
Well, these are all done by hand, so
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Time and labor intensive is.
It is, and then it had to sit in the oven for several hours, so it's,
Sure.
It's an ordeal.
But now that you've seen those, in 10 or 15 minutes, we'll see the full carbon speaker enclosures. And
Oh, wow.
That's a whole different ballgame.
Here's some
Cool.
copper gasket.
Yeah.
Is that the
It's the M6.
M6 mid-range?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll utilize copper. It's a more damp material.
Yeah.
Better for mid-range coupling.
right?
So our inventory controller will, depending on the product, kit up either one or multiple pairs of speakers onto one of these racks. So when our assembly tech is complete with their current builds, they should be able to come out here, grab their next rack, and really have everything they need without leaving their workstation.
So the assembly is, everything's for assembly is put on one of these. They take this and do the entire assembly.
Correct.
Good idea.
You can see our S7 crossover network.
Wow.
If you see just one of these large black silver gold and oil infused capacitors, we'll have more money invested in one of these or one of the large copper coils, as many six-figure speakers will have in an entire
In their entire crossover, yeah. I totally get that.
And then some. Speaking of our various S-Series finishes, since we do have some of these, this is our high gloss candy red for one of our S center channels.
I love that color.
So when we first moved into this facility 10 years ago, kind of started with what you've seen so far.
Right.
Ending at this wall. But as is the case, we always fill up the space that you have. So,
of course.
Fortunately for us, a few years later, our next door neighbors moved out, and we Manifest Destiny Business Park down this way.
Cool.
And, took on an additional 10,000 square feet. So now we have about
Wow.
30.
This is huge.
This is our aesthetic QC area. So this is where we'll look at all cosmetic parts under the bright lights, whether they're the carbon side panels for the M3. Freshly built A5 enclosures to make sure that we don't have any aesthetic deficiencies before we do the final electronics installation. And here's some of the more major carbon fiber. So you'll hear them soon enough. But these are the three separate monocoques of the M9.
Wow.
All half-inch carbon fiber with aluminum honeycomb sandwiched in between layers of carbon.
Wow.
And on a smaller scale, our M2.
Wow. This is impressive, gentlemen.
And any part that comes back from one of our finishing vendors will get brought over here into the tents under the lights to get a really close inspection for any deficiency. And here's a M6 top plate. Or if you want a really pretty piece of jewelry, the serial plate of the M9.
That's really nice. That's really nice.
Over here, just have a few pallets of the many hundreds of tons of aluminum that come to this facility every year. Here's our photo studio, where Alon does all of our photography and videography.
Uh-huh. I knew there had to be one of these lurking somewhere.
Yes.
Very cool.
And this is our 8 series assembly room. So currently we have four pairs of A5s in process. On the base driver installation point right now. Once he gets these base drivers installed, then we'll do a full leak test of the full speaker, make sure it's perfectly sealed before installing the tweeter in the mid-range.
I'm assuming those are completed crossovers?
Those are completed A5 crossovers.
Wow.
And yes, this is from our entry level. So we can move on to our main assembly area where we do all of the S and M series production.
That you don't want to say those two together that quickly, I think.
Boy, should really flip them.
The S&M series. All right.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into it.
It took me a second.
I'm sorry, Alon. I just...
That's all right. Still learning my English.
Oh, wow.
So here Wendell's doing the lower base section of the M9. Soon he'll be attaching the mid-range section to it, so the M9 ships in two distinct pieces. Where we'll break in all of our speakers for between 2 and 4 days before sending them out to final QC and packaging of our M6 and our M2 and our new Titan 15 subwoofer.
It's very nice, guys. It's impressive.
Here you can get a better visual representation of the faceplate architecture that we were speaking of. So our outer M3 faceplate with the tweeter mounted to it, tension to the back of the speaker, and then tighten down from the back to both isolate the tweeter and damp the entire enclosure.
This is really impressive, guys. Really impressive. Now you said this is what, 30,000 square feet?
Yes.
Wow. Guys, this visit was one eye and ear opening event, and I was treated with the most incredibly gracious hospitality. I have followed the Magico journey since its official launch with the $22,000 Magico Mini. But it was as the judge for the CES High Performance Innovation and Engineering Awards in 2011, when I was honored to present that award to Alon and Magico for the $60,000 Q5 loudspeaker, that he and I first started to have our regular conversations. Now, over the years, I have been as taken by the man as I have his work. From the time I arrived on site that morning, over the course of being shown around this large, immaculate space, through our lunch and the listening session, something on the order of some 7 hours, we had the opportunity to speak of many things, audio-related and otherwise. And throughout all our conversations, I got the chance to learn a great deal more about the man. Our one-on-one time simply served to confirm all my early impressions of his extraordinary values, his unwavering passion and commitment to his craft, the breadth and depth of his knowledge, his conspicuous intellect, and his wonderful sense of humor. Words alone may not adequately express my appreciation and thanks for having had this extraordinary and enjoyable experience to visit Magico, or the opportunity to spend so much time gaining further insight into the man behind these extraordinary loudspeakers. Oh, and he can craft one hell of a mid-afternoon espresso. Thank you, Alon. Again, my sincerest thanks to Maestro Wolf, to Dave Shackleton, and to Peter McKay, Magico's Vice President of Global Sales and Marketing, who organized this wonderful trip. In the upcoming fourth and final installment, recounting my visit, I will share with you the almost indescribable experience of listening to the heroic, idiomatic Magico M9s. Driven by some of the finest components and sources available today, meticulously set up in one of the most astonishing, bespoke listening spaces I've ever been in. Until then, thanks for taking the time to drop in. Further information on supporting the channel may be found in today's description section or at my website, theaudioanalyst.com. Please stay safe and keep the music playing. Till next time, cheers.